Um, that sounds cool.
Opening the portal.
Let me jump for a second there.
Quantum jump. Thank you for showing up today, bro. I appreciate you.
I appreciate it too. This is gonna be good. You're looking happy, looking healthy.
Yeah, feeling grateful to be alive today in this body vessel. Here we are.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's good to experience the body, huh? Feels good.
Yeah, something I noticed recently is dropping from the mind into the heart and just being in the body. Like it's so great to have a break mentally and just be emotionally present and aware. And last night I went out dancing. I was at an ecstatic dance event in Toronto and just like shutting off the mental chatter and just communicating through body language with people. So much fun.
Interesting. It's becoming quite a thing now, huh? The ecstatic dancing.
Yeah, I think it's so healthy just because like we're constantly communicating through like verbally, like linguistically with people. So to be present and actually just observe when people are really up in the mind and then kind of be a way sure like, yo, like it's okay, like let's drop into the heart, let's communicate through body language and movement. It's just a really transformative way to like be present with one another.
I bet. Yeah. Haven't tried that. I mean, well, I was invited one time, but it'll probably end up happening in Amsterdam. Yeah, that should be good. Around a lot of free souls. See what happens. That'd be good.
All in divine right time when it needs to.
Yeah, definitely. For sure.
I love the balance of colors here. You've got like this sacral like root, the orange and red.
It's funny you said that. I just posted a video on that.
Cool.
Yeah, the whole couple of days it's been about sacral. What's the, do you know the Sanskrit word for that?
Swadhisthana.
That's it. I can never pronounce it right.
Swadhisthana, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Am I saying it right? Swanisthana?
Swadhisthana or Swadhisthana. I'm still learning too. Yeah.
Swadhisthana. So there's like a D in there.
Swadhisthana. Yeah, it's however we choose to pronounce it, right? But it's I think the correct way is Swadhisthana. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I
Glad
need
though.
to. Well, we have it down pretty well.
I love that color though because like it's when I'm choosing nourish, like I consciously choose to go by food colors. So if I'm feeling like depleted, like energetically in my lower dantian, like in the Spadhisthana or sacral chakra, I'll have carrot juice or just like raw sweet potato, like a baked sweet potato, and that like refuels that energy center. And just like playing with the colors of the chakras, it's like a great way to refuel our body.
That is so cool. You also juice sweet potato raw. I thought I was the only one on the earth who did that. You ever mix a mango with those things?
Yeah, that's super activating for the core and like really euphoric, I feel.
Yeah, it tastes so good too.
Super energizing. Seeing you're getting flashbacks to Costa Rica.
Flashbacks, Costa Rica? Well, you're having flashbacks, Costa Rica?
You, how was your experience, man?
Man, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's cutting coconuts every day. Beach and water. It's all right. It was fine. It was. There were definitely parts of it that weren't so good, but there were parts of it that were amazing, and definitely appreciate those moments. There will definitely never be moments like that ever again. It's like a once in a lifetime thing. Some of the things I did there, and so yeah, it was mainly because of the energy around specific things we did. Because at the time I was with my partner. I've probably seen it before. Know of her, Sharzette. And we would do like fire rituals on the beach whilst microdosing LSD and mushrooms. And
Amazing.
yeah, we used to set
Super
lights.
psychedelic elemental experience.
Oh yeah, and we would get a stick and set a light to both ends and do the spinning thing in the dark and record each other. And so obviously you're only seeing the lit ends, and they're spinning so fast, and it's making these really cool patterns. It was
It's
just
amazing to see like your growth process over the years, like creatively, like through all the different mediums. Like we have different social networks and stuff, but to see like your transformation over the years through how you started your first YouTube channel to now we have the Astral Projection Vlogs channel, and now like the Instagram portals open up, and there's just like so much more content coming from you. And I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you and appreciate all that you have been offering. It's so much value, and based on my own personal experience, like just connecting with you or even tuning into the videos sometimes have triggered experiences for me. Just sharing, and I think that that's the beauty of us coming together and facilitating conscious dialogue is it triggers us and our divine reflections to have these experiences when we're sober too, you know, like really dope.
that's awesome, man. Yeah, it's good. It's good to put it in perspective like that because every now and then I like to add to my reasons as to why I do things, and knowing that it's affecting people, like it's actually having an effect, so much better. Because when it's just me behind the computer or living my life in just the camera, I don't really know how that's going to land in society until I see someone like yourself having an effect, you know, in the group, which I'm becoming more active in recently as well. I'm starting to spread myself thin again, but finding ways of making it work so I don't have to abandon one social media account. Two people found each other and are now husband and wife. Like that happened in the group. That was the first time I actually realized that. Wait a second, I put something together, and it's bringing people together. And there's another person who I'm also close with, a friend of mine. She also met a husband. I think it's a husband or a boyfriend through the group. And so it's like, people are able to connect to each other in a place which is very relaxed and very, I say it's down to earth, but it's like the heavens and the earth are like the same thing. And so you're getting normal people.
Interdimensionally, right? We're
Yeah.
multi-dimensional beings, so it's just like we're bridging that gap between the higher dimensions.
And it's working pretty well.
Yeah, and we are that bridge. I feel like we are conduits of like crystal beings to like facilitate that integration of heaven and new earth. Essentially, it's like we're creating that. The more we live in the heart space, I feel the more present we are to actually be conscious enough to create those connections naturally and organically. It's like the universe is just working through us.
It is. It is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Cool.
I had this self-realization process like over the past few years, and it's just been this natural awakening and realizing, oh yeah, like star seed being a common term. So that's how cosmic bloom was birthed, because we're all cosmically blooming in collective consciousness. Star seeds here to bloom, and that's what the community is about, is bringing people together naturally to actually facilitate our growth interdimensionally. And the real, like, I guess intention is that it's a vehicle for unity consciousness, and I describe it as like a digital platform that's facilitating like a interstellar ecosystem for all of us to connect and come together. And it's starting here on Earth, but like as we transition into like this higher dimensional like bridge, like the new Earth and beyond, we have like the right resources of all of us being interconnected as one. So really grateful to have you on the website, and also added Shahrazad. Did I pronounce that right?
Say it again.
Shahrazad.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
there are many ways of pronouncing it. She likes it. I think it's based on who, who you are. It depends on how you say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she likes it either or way. Yeah.
So she joined our most recent group call, where it was called Deep Dreams and Astral Experiences, and that's kind of like what triggered this because we had a 5 week program of like group calls where people came together and we shared our astral experiences, and then I was like, yo, it'd be so great to have Brother Ryan come through and just like share your experiences. I know we're always talking about different subjects like through the YouTube portal, but I felt like today's call, the focus can be more so on sharing our astral experiences and things that we experience in the astrals.
Sure. Where would you like to start with that?
Let's start right here. Thank you for asking. So I have like a list of stuff, and we could just take it one step at a time. Shapeshifting,
Uh-huh.
something I experience frequently in the astrals.
Yeah. So it's really basic. Energy takes form, and if you think about it, everything in the third dimensional reality is a thought form. Somehow, shape or form, it managed to find its way in this type of form, And so you'll find that when you go into the astral planes, I'm sure you probably know if you do this, that there are thought constructs that kind of hold energy together in a specific pattern, which will then collapse matter itself. And the physical body has that too. And I think they call it the etheric body. At the time, I just called it a thought form because I was trying to make sense out of it in a certain way. But it seems other people have already used or came up with words to describe the etheric body as the conscious template of the physical anatomy. And so it stands to reason that, you'll probably hear stories about werewolves and shapeshifters and skinwalkers and shamans who kind of get possessed by animals and entities, and then they don't look the same anymore. And if you've ever been on a psychedelic or you're very open, you'll notice when people get walk-ins, in a sense, channeled by beings, and their physical anatomy doesn't quite look right anymore. They don't look like them. Even if they're being channeled by another human being, they tend to look different. And so it's predicated upon the mental construct, the idea that the soul has of him or herself. And that's how the physical body kind of looks, either how you carry yourself or how it's expressing itself genetically. And as you go into these astral realms and you start to really dive deep into becoming aware of these vibrations of thought, you tend to have an effect on the physical body, even if you don't want to, even if you don't know how, your body's becoming affected somehow. And that's just the slow version of it. Without the physical body, the astral body instantly changes based on how you think. And so it's the same with the etheric body, really. I mean, the etheric body is going to have the most change. The astral body, the only way it kind of changes is based on your level of perception. So if you evolve mentally as a conscious being, your astral body then changes because it's thought responsive to your consciousness. But your etheric body is, you think that you're supposed to be taller, you're going to look taller in the astral plane. And this means that your etheric body, it's all mental. This means that your etheric body can exist in the astral plane. It's not like your etheric body can only exist in the ethers. I just want to make that clear so that when people astral project and they're in other planes of existences, outside of the ethers, you can still look how you want to look. It's just, it's not going to be as easy, because in order to get to these other planes of existences, you need to be a specific type of being anyway, like the way that you think. And so why would you want to look a specific way? At that point, you're just going to look how your astral body wants to look, not your etheric, but your astral body wants to look. And usually that's when we shift into different states of the astral, I want to say astral body, but it's not. It's like the astral body evolves as the consciousness evolves. Therefore, you end up in another plane of existence in a body that is more indicative of your evolutionary state. And so this is pretty cool too, because if you take any kind of type of psychedelic and you're like looking at yourself, you see your physical head just shapeshift, vibrate out like water paint, and then you'll see another face, and then that'll vibrate out, and then you'll see an imaginary face that you think, your own image of how you think you should look, and that'll vibrate out. Then eventually you'll get to the nuts and bolts of your energy. that's when it looks cool, because I'm pretty sure most people look like this. They're blue and they've got like grid lines all over them, silver grid lines, and you can see frequency in between the teeth that are closed, like zzz, and you can hear it, and the eyes are closed, but you can see the circles of the eyes, and it's like an Alex Gray painting.
That's super trippy. And there was somebody who showed up at the ecstatic dance event, like this older looking gentleman that looked like Alex Gray, and he had like he was like blind in one eye, so he had the cane, and it was just like his hair was gray, and he looked like Alex Gray's, and the environment we were in was very psychedelic. They had like ayahuasca and sacred geometry everywhere. So as soon as he walked in, like I thought at first glance it was Alex Gray. Yeah, it was an interesting trip. Yeah, something I wanted to share in regards to that is I've been connecting with many beings in the astral like spontaneously, and a lot of the time I come across shapeshifters, beings that are kind of like tricksters, you know, like we traverse the different planes and different levels of the astral planes, and I really feel like there's something that I may be emitting that is attracting these energies. And most recently, there was one shapeshifter who came and was like trying to like trick me, and I was just like, "That's not your real form." I was conscious enough to be like, "No, that's not your real form." And as soon as like I said that, I said something shifted vibrationally, and then I was like, "Yo, like, show me your real form. Show me like what your real form is now." And as soon as I said that, like it was like almost like it just got really sad. Like fuck, couldn't trick him. And I saw it shapeshift from being this like green haired girl into like this skeleton creature. It was really weird. And
What type of creature?
like almost looked like a skeleton, like a human skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And constantly dealing with shapeshifters, and a lot of the time they try to take on the form of people that I know. But when I look in their eyes, I can see that it's not people I know, and that's how I'm able to tell, like, oh yeah, like that's not authentic, you know.
How did their eyes look?
Dark, like
Huh?
really dark,
Are
and
they?
it's really
Sorry.
tricky because it's something I experience really frequently. But because it's been happening, I've become more conscious of it, and it's allowed me to be more conscious in the dream state because I don't want to be tricked, you know. Like, oh
Mm.
yeah, like I sense that and manipulate me if I'm aware, right?
Right. Yeah, because most of the interactions in the astral realm are predicated upon consent, and these consents, these ways of consenting to interactions aren't necessarily verbal agreements.
Mm-hmm.
And so you think you know them. Like, oh, look, it's Dave. Hey, Dave, come over here. Even just you stepping over, you don't have to say come over here. Just you getting close to it, that willingness to participate in that event is your consent.
Energy flows where attention goes, and as soon as you start paying attention, you're giving energy to that life form or to that being or entity. And I experienced something similarly where I just recently got this pyramid,
Mhm.
and I think all pyramids are connected. So um, I astral projected to Egypt, and the funny thing I was actually preparing to go on a retreat to Egypt, and that didn't end up panning out because I realized what I was seeking was something more internal, and I ended up preparing myself mentally to go to Egypt, and then I just ended up astral projecting to Egypt to Kemet. And what happened is, as soon as I got close to like one of like the structures that from afar it looked like a sand or stone structure. When I got close to it, it was like golden with like hieroglyphs. And as soon as I was about to interact with it, there was an entity or a being over my left shoulder that was trying to draw me away from it. And I discussed this with somebody else, and they said like that's a form, another form of yourself trying to protect you from like the knowing of like what that hieroglyph could teach you. And it was like almost like another aspect of myself was stopping me from actually engaging with that tablet. So when I turned around and connected with that aspect, uh, portal kind of opened up underneath me, and I fell right through the sand into another experience in the astral.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, really trippy. So I've been working with that, the pyramid structures, and then this is a new dream catcher in the pyramid structure. This was really like enhance the activation, symbolizing protection, divine protection.
Mhm.
And medicine that I've been working with is a blue lotus flower. It's like blue, purple, violet color leaves, and this medicine has been really induced in deep dreams. So something I wanted to share with you is like if you're interested in experimenting with teas, I highly suggest like having that before you rest because it really allows us to go much deeper and things start getting a lot more weird and strange as they already are. We're just more conscious of it.
Yeah, Blue Lotus. I'm gonna write that down. Blue Lotus. So I am into teas. I'm big on tea, and I want to start getting into like oil work, where I extract oils out of specific plants and make concentrates.
Yeah, like a really potent resins,
Say again?
really potent resins.
Yeah.
You could have like ingest them, but also topically, I feel like is great too on the crown or right over the Ajna chakra, third eye. Have you been using anything to assist you recently? Like I know we are like capable of so much, but is there anything that you've been adding to your practice recently that's been facilitating your growth?
I don't know if I can talk about it. I wanted to keep it quiet because when I talk about stuff that I do, I tend to deflate like a balloon. And then it's this uphill struggle of getting excited again, getting excited about it again, to the point where you know. But what I can mention is what I have done, of course, in the sense that what I've already done and shown, and so there is no expectation anymore for that particular part of what I've been doing. Therefore, I don't need to feel like I need to get excited or generate some kind of creativity aspect towards the process because it's already finished. No,
Mm.
which was surprisingly enough, the main topic seemingly of this thing was the chakra, navel chakra, uh, second chakra. So many words for it. Ultimately, I discovered that if you breathe a certain way and move your prana a very particular way, so you're unblocking your pranic body, what should happen is it should speed up in your system, unblocking minute blockages, not all of them, but the majority of which that are responsible for this prana, responsible for it coming into the head, eyes, ears, mouth, nose, and the tail, but mainly the head down into that second chakra, and then it converts into a specific type of energy that only that chakra can create from prana. And after that's done, it's then spread throughout your system in a very particular kind of way. And so purpose for that video was just to get people started with the energy system and the chakra system. A lot of people are saying that they can experience the chakras, and there's no doubt in my mind that they're experiencing them. But hey, wouldn't you like to experience them? Wouldn't you like to experience them even more? Right? Wouldn't you like to really open them up and really study them?
Like getting beyond like the basic mainstream like new age shit and like really getting into like the depth of like what is it? What are you really vibing with? Like what kind of thought form are you even playing with every time you're saying that? It's all vibration, right?
Yeah. It's speaking of which, your body can vibrate to the point where it's making sounds. You know? And so
It's important to be conscious of what you're creating. We're all creating this, co-creating this. So, what chakras are you like aware of, and what chakras are you engaging with, and are they something that's already present, or is it something that people are just creating and that's creating like another layer on top of the spiritual body?
right, like are you referring to the concept of thought form chakras? Like am I
Yeah, because I remember along your early journey, you shared a video where we were talking about this. Like, I think even in the comments, like people were talking about how it's something with our thoughts. You know, like there's chakras and energy centers. You know, we're aware of that, but then it's also like the thought construct of it manifesting because we're thinking of them and we're consciously aware of it, and it's something that we're creating with our thoughts first before it even manifests into like another astral or etheric layer.
So we said last bit again, another, how would that manifest or translate into another
Well,
layer?
we have different energy bodies, but it's all one big conglomerate body. You know what I'm saying? Like it's there's
Uh-huh.
different layers to it. I think that's my way of interpreting it. There's different layers of the energy body, and however you want to interpret it, like emotional body, mental body, spiritual body. But we're aware that it's some type of metaphysical energy body that we're always playing with, and everyone has their own subjective interpretation. But the more objective we are with it, we're able to recognize that, like, okay, this is something that we're I guess consciously or unconsciously manifesting into form in some plane of existence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, constantly manifesting and creating, and but then you hear the whole concept of nothing can be created or destroyed. You know, it only changes form, which then lends into what you were saying about how it's all just one body, but
Mm.
it's like how a frequency would change into another octave, or how one color of light would blend into another color of light. It's all light, but it's behaving differently in order to create another aspect of itself. And again, creation, it can't be created or destroyed. So really what's happening is it's transmuting into a different phase of itself. And then you get seemingly how people would outwardly perceive as separate bodies. And ultimately, like you were saying, if you really look at it, you know, if you just kind of tilt your head a little bit, it might look like separate bodies, but it's all just light. It's all just a light body, right? And so it's if you get really big with that, and you really start peeling back the ideas of separation and individualism in all these different spiritual contexts, for one, we're not actually moving. Like there's no such thing as distance, and that's what was perceived.
Quantum field of vibration. Distance is only perceived. It's like illusory, essentially.
So I say it last bit again.
Everything is right here. The distance is
Uh-huh.
based on our perception.
It's all perception.
Light,
Everything is
right?
where you're looking at, and that's what's dictating what's going on or what you think is going on. But if you get rid of all that, you're just left with when you're left with the source, you know, you're just left with what's always been here. And people think that they need to get to heaven, when they need to get to a source consciousness or stuff like that. They don't realize that really it's like they're like it's it. Like this is it. It's just how they're perceiving reality is kind of skewing their ability to really experience a pure state of nothing in a sense of a pure state of no perception.
It
But
reminds me of. It just reminds me of the MC Yogi song, "Heaven Is Here." Check it out. It's a great sound. It's all right here.
yeah.
And I'd like to just say, I've got somebody showing up at my door with this Mercury retrograde, like with the call that over ended up overlapping. I ended up ordering food in between, so somebody's about to show up with it's called the Galaxy Burger. And it costs like,
It's all right.
so
Cool.
I need a moment to grab that, but I wanted to just expand on the fact that we are formless, and through this conscious self-awareness, um, the more self-aware we are in any plane, whether it's the dream state or even in this dream of life, I think the more we identify with that formless aspect and we realize that this body mind is soul technology, it allows us to take knowledge and apply that knowledge practically to create the wisdom of our life experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's pretty cool, huh?
I'll be right back, brother.
Sure.
Got that plant-based medicina. Something else that I've been working with and playing with is this Astral Firelight crystal. And I notice when I have that like over my crown when I'm resting, it shifts the experiences, the kind of experiences that I have through astral travel.
Huh. Pyrite, you say?
Astrophyllite.
Oh, did you say firelight?
It's called astrophyllite.
With a P or an F?
PH.
Okay, there we go.
PHY.
Yeah,
Astrophyllite.
groovy. Wow,
Mhm.
what's that you're drinking? What's that? Coconut water? Coconut milk?
This is spring water. Yeah.
In a bottle like that? Interesting.
Canadian. Flow.
Flow.
I consciously purchased this brand because it's 100% naturally alkaline spring water. No disclaimer here, just like conscious programming to stay in flow state. Because being a creative, being on the go, just consciously choosing to flow, it feels great because it allows me to stay in this place of neutrality, non-attachment to whatever arises, and just keep flowing with life. Zero resistance.
Yeah, it's very cool. Uh-huh.
So the next thing I'd like to open the discussion about is telepathy and an experience I had recently. I've been having recently. It can happen between any beings, I think, but like I've been experiencing telepathy with cats on the astral plane.
That's pretty cool.
It's really weird, but I love it because I wake up laughing. I'm like, what the just happened? What was that? And like try to interpret it. And I have this habit now of like that I've created. It's actually beyond 30 days. It's becoming a lifestyle where the first thing I do when I rise is I journal. This is my dream journal or astral journal, and it's got the blue lotus to trigger that subconsciously. But the intent is to like as soon as I get back, pen to the paper, like drawing from those planes into the physical, and that's really allowed to enhance my dream recall and astral recall. But yeah, telepathy, yo.
Yeah, it's intense. And starts off in the astral realm usually. That's how you develop it. I mean, you have it already in forms of empathy, you know. It's not really fully understood until you start deconstructing thoughts and your interactions with other conscious life forms. Then it's like, oh, this is what's actually happening. And they can show you sometimes if they want to go that far, you know.
I feel like I'm still learning about it. Like it's been happening like in the dream, like most recently, this white cat just came towards me. And then there was this like dialogue. I don't remember what it was about, but I just remember like it's almost like sometimes it can be even non-verbal communication and just an exchange of energy or mental imagery. Um, but
That's
it's
our
strange.
first
It's
language.
strange when like I'm receiving in English, like like it's, I don't know
That's pretty cool. They're
what I've
receiving
been
it.
experiencing.
For some reason, I picture the cat's voice being British. Hello.
And I think what's happening is like entities like can play with our thought forms too, because another experience that I had recently was like these like mind reading yogis. So I was somewhere traversing the astral plane, and there was like these four yogis, like they were like Indian yogis, like they look like they're from that area of the earth. Because yogis can be anyone, that practices yoga to do everything art please yoga. But these four dudes look like they were some deep yogi beings. Like they had the whole like that guru vibe. To them, I don't know how to explain it, but they were in this body of water, and I was just swimming in this water, and I ended up like being around them, and then around us there were other people, but they're rolling together, like on the astral plane. It was interesting to see that. One of them was able to like draw my name from my, I guess my body, my light body, And then the other yogi is like, yo, like don't read his mind like that without his consent or permission, like you were talking about. But the other yogi was laughing. He was like trying to read my thoughts, and he was, and I was just observing like what the fuck is going on. Like I don't know how this works, you know? But I was just embracing the experience. I found it so amusing. Like I think when you don't have an understanding of how it works, it makes you curious about it. But when you have an understanding of how that's happening on a, I guess, multi-dimensional level, it's natural, right?
Yeah, it's
Beyond
natural.
beyond our limited human perspective, we're limitless.
Right. And the human perspective in regard to telepathy is really what we choose to believe about telepathy. There are so many people nowadays who, you like try telling them there's more than 6 emotions, or try telling them that there's probably over 1,000 emotions that you experience. I mean, I know that for a fact there is more than 1,000 because I was watching a TED talk about it. I mean, I already knew this, but he brought out a number that I didn't even know. It was ridiculous. I was like, what? They mapped that many. And I was like, oh, there goes my number. It just blew it right out of the water. And the reality is anything that you say, there's an emotion behind it. It's just we don't perceive those intentions as emotions. We think they're intentions. So we intend to say this, we intend to say that, we intend to want that. And so we perceive intentions not as emotions, not as vibration, but as intentions. But no one's actually given the thought as to what an intention is. It's an emotional response. And emotions are basically your thoughts that are emoting a specific frequency. And based on how you're thinking will determine how your body reacts to your thoughts inside your vessel. And so, yeah, a lot of people, their perception on communication is such a way where they can't even begin to accept some things because you bring up emotions. They're like, nah. Feelings. I remember watching Malcolm in the Middle once, and I come back from home and someone says, you said the F word, feelings, and I'm like, I feel guilty at that point. Like, well, wait a second. Like, he's not even talking to me. And I feel like I'm guilty because I like feelings. And so that automatically made me think maybe I shouldn't express my feelings in the world just a little bit, you know? And so what ends up happening is through these interactions, we end up not even going near. We don't touch our emotional state, or at least the parts of us that are the most high vibratory, the parts of thoughts and thinking, intention setting, that area of our consciousness that can really generate frequency to the point where we have a physical effect. We don't touch it because we're told that it's something that should be for women. We're told that women are weak. Really not true. And because of that, we don't want to be seen as weak. The reality is if you're afraid to be vulnerable, sorry, but that's a form of weakness. I mean, even being vulnerable is a form of weakness, but being afraid of that state, being put in that situation, is a fear-based mentality, which doesn't come out of strength, which is when you'll hear people saying that,
Interesting perspective. I feel like vulnerability can be our strength sometimes because if we're open-hearted, we can share our raw emotions and feelings. But I guess in those particular situations, it can be like perceived as a weakness because of like what it can create. But I feel like I do a lot of healing work in community and bringing people together. And when people open up vulnerably and share their emotions and how they feel, it actually becomes their strength because they're able to express themselves more freely. And a lot of people are depressed and contracted. See it in the physiology and their shoulders, like covering their hearts. The more we open up and expand,
then
right?
they relax. And so
More
I'd actually call that courageous. I think it's a courageous act, which is based out of strength to be vulnerable, but people are perceiving vulnerability as weakness. And the reality is, it's the idea of being scared of being vulnerable. That's a weak state of mind. It's fear, because nothing comes out of fear. And so, other than more fear and more perpetuating mindsets, fear perpetuating mindsets and attitudes, and the constricting of the body and the heart and the chest and the mind. And so that's the crazy thing about it. It's an idea, which is the weakest link. Everything else around that, you can see it from either or, but the reality is those are the frequencies that make you human. Those are the frequencies that resonate and open your heart like 4 or 5 sizes bigger. And really shift things within your subconscious mind.
Yeah. And I really think that womb, I say womb men because they have wombs, you know, like let's redefine the word woman. The womb men, like they have the power to be that conduit and channel for spirit, the spirit realm to this earth realm, you know, and to be able to bring life through. That's so powerful. We can learn so much from that simple thought of just knowing that, yeah, we have like, you know, as men, we have the power to manifest. Divine womb, so powerful. Yeah, like just being able to birth life into this world, like that's amazing.
It is amazing. It's quite a feat, especially
That's
when you
how
think,
we're here.
yeah,
And side note, since you're talking about like film and Malcolm in the Middle, just triggered all this just triggered a recall of watching the new Captain Marvel movie.
don't spoil it for me. I haven't seen it yet. Don't spoil it for me. Captain Marvel is one of my favorites. And
Go enjoy it. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, and it shows the power of a woman, you know, like embracing her full power. Right?
that's why I think they really made it a point to start ushering these superheroes back. It wouldn't surprise me if they ended up ushering out a female Green Lantern instead of redoing that whole shtick. You know what would be great on TV? Are you aware of the lanterns, the Green Lanterns, and how different emotions that they use can materialize reality in a specific way? So there's the love ones, right? Where they're all about love and they're pink, I think. And there's an indigo one too. If they, I just like to see them for a moment have someone who's a female, strong female character to show up in a DCU movie. I mean, even if it's a crossover with Captain Marvel or Miss Marvel.
Be so great. Like, and this is like creating the new culture of collaboration. What happens if we bring these two universes together? You know, amazing things happen, and that's what we're trying to facilitate on a daily basis. Not even trying, we are facilitating that new culture of collaboration versus that old paradigm of competition. Like, yo, we can actually come together and collaborate. And there can be healthy competition in the midst of that. And I hear you. I actually, for my Instagram like icon, like I use my avatar from DC Universe, the one that I created in the game, the simulation, because it just resonates. Like, why not play with the character? And all of this kind of ties into a song I've been writing. It's called Hero. Like, if you're waiting for a savior, ain't nobody gonna save you. You're your own hero. It's really simple lyrics, but like the feeling of the song is just a simple reminder that like, yo, like you gotta take care of yourself first. You know, like you have the power within you.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Whatever's clever, you know.
Mm.
It's Comic Con in Toronto this weekend, so I'm probably gonna go.
What are you gonna dress up as?
OptiMystic Ra. You are your own hero. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. My brother's big in Comic Con. He actually does. He's starting to do his own comics and he builds suits. He does, and he's good at it too.
Super dope. I'm all about that and like creating like um, tech clothing. Like I've been designing stuff like low key, just like sketching out designs. And this is like the coolest piece I have for the optimistic raw avatar right now. This is a photonic light key by the Arcturian Council. It's in the shape of the spine of Osiris, and within it, it has photonic light, so it activates your light body.
Oh, that's powerful.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
imagine like creating a custom suit that has like photonic light charged up with crystals.
Yeah, like a charge, like a artificial energy body, which interacts with your other energy bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Set up.
We're limitless. We can create anything. You know, we draw these experiences from the astrals. Like, what can't we create on this plane of existence?
Pretty much limitless as long as you believe in everything.
Yeah, dude. The same dude who made like this this light key. He's also got a helmet that he just recently designed, and it's got all sorts of diamonds. It's the same color blue, but all these diamonds around the crown and gold plated on the inside. So it's activating the pineal gland and like really allowing the facilitation of light from the higher realms right here, right into this.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's really great. Yeah, magical. How do you get the light photons in there?
I think it's like crystal quartz sand,
Uh-huh.
and then it's charged up, and then the sand is in the key.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Is there any way of making it? Does he? I don't want to be responsible for radioactive. I was gonna say, does he know of any safe way of holding that? Because at that point, when you put light in a specific container and it radiates like that, it's classified as radiation. And the higher frequency it is, the more it has a tendency to unravel things in DNA. If it's of a specific frequency, that's when I'm hypothesizing. I think that maybe there are radiations that go, it has to be because of stars, how stars are born, supernovas and stuff like that. And so this might be a stretch, but if he knows, it'll save me a lot of time. Does he know how to have the frequency resonate at a very specific, safe frequency, whereby which if you were to increase that frequency, you won't end up forming two heads?
I love that you're conscious of this and awareness. I'm curious, I'm not exactly sure, but what I do know is that I can send you the link to all the other products that he creates, and I actually plan to collaborate with him. He's an engineer, so he creates stuff like this, like um, biohack showers, like stuff for your car to like save you on fuel. Like he has this kind of technology available. What happens when we start like collaborating as artists with engineers? We can design anything. The technology is already here. It's available. The more we bridge that gap between the higher dimensions and other planets and other star systems, the technology is already available. How can we integrate that now into like this new Earth that we're creating?
Right? Exactly. I started telling people like they're seeing these hyper realistic robots on TV, like in the sci-fi movies. And I stop and I say to people, you know, that's not the future. That's happening now. And they look at me with the idealistic mindset mentality, like, oh yeah, I get you. That's like the future. That's how they understand what I just said. They're not taking what I said literally. I said, no, you need to really understand this. There are people that I can contact that can actually make bodies that look hyper realistic to the point where you would think it's real. Like there's no shadow of a
Like
doubt.
that movie Gamer. Do you remember that movie with Gerard Butler, Gamer?
Gamer. Let me just
I think it
Google.
was before 2010, so it's like a while back. But the avatars in that were like really, really trippy.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh. I remember this one. Is this the one where he vomits and pees inside the car so it creates fuel?
I have no idea, but I thought of that as soon as you mentioned this, and it's amazing that like the level of awareness that we bring can really trigger the awakening in people because it is happening now. And if anything is happening in the past or the future, it's still happening now because the future is a continuation of this moment through our choices. We're creating our future timelines every moment. And the past is still happening here and now because we're able to reflect on it in this moment. So we're still creating that past and the future in this moment. Mentally, it's all present, it's all here. So if everything is existing here and now, it's just our conscious ability to draw in these thought forms because it's all mental and it's all right here for us to facilitate whatever it is that we choose to create. And something that I experience in the astrals frequently is different types of cars, different years, makes, models, but different timelines.
Yes. I've been reluctant to talk about this because I don't want to seem like a kook on YouTube. I went inside a car once. Kid you not, it had no wheels. It would come straight off the ground, and the screen went wrapped around the inside, and it was all black. And you couldn't see outside. Instead, it was like a gamer thing where you would see the contours of the reality outside the car, you know, how the shapes were formed. So that's how you would know where you were driving. And you didn't have to worry about oxygen. You can go really high up, you'll be good. As a matter of fact, you wouldn't even know how high up you were because you were so sheltered from the elements. And I was just in this car. I thought, I'm like, oh, look, it's like a Volkswagen or something like that. This looks kind of cool. I was like, wait a second, where are the wheels? You know, why is it shiny and black? And the top is kind of white, but it looks like two-toned. Like the inside was white, and then the outside had like this dark, either it was plastic or some kind of condensed glass or condensed plastic came out on the outside and kind of went completely black towards the bottom of the vehicle. So it would look two-toned, and you can obviously see that there's another layer underneath. And the way you get into the car is the top just opens up. And then, you know, you get into it and it closes and it goes up and it's all automated. You know, you don't have to, as soon as you're in there, it knows what you're doing. It takes you up kind of like a drone would before you start flying. It flies up by itself. You don't do it in some cases. And so the car would fly up by itself if it recognizes that it's safe to do so. And then from that point onwards, you just punch in where you want to go. And then you wait like 5 minutes and you're on the other side of the world, you know?
Time space coordinates, quantum jumping in a hover car, the spaceships. Yeah, like this, it's here. It's all here now. It's amazing. Thank you for sharing that experience.
Cool,
And
man.
I've had similar experiences, dude. Like I get into like these cars. I've had multiple experiences. And here's just one example. I was in an underground like garage with another being who's with me, and like we're just in this car park. And there's all these different cars, and I got into the car, you know, using the thought. You know how thoughts like guide our experience in the astral specifically. As soon as I got in the car, I noticed there was like 3 seats open in the front, and it was a convertible. And I started it with my mind, so like using our thoughts to like activate the vehicle. Again, very telekinetic, telepathic like engagement with the object. And I kept going around the parking garage like once I was in it, and it didn't feel like it was rolling like wheels. It felt like it was hovering. So I figured it's a hover car. Okay, so I'm going around in this car park, and I couldn't get out of the garage. So I was getting really frustrated. I'm like, why can't I find an exit? And then I found like this like kind of like square opening where you could go in, but there's no like nowhere else to go. It's just like you go into the square thing. But when I look up, like I could see there was an opening. And by that time, like I guess I'd expended all my energy in the astral. I woke up in this realm. But I realized that it's a hover car. You're supposed to go up, all the way up, through that opening, rather than just going through the like on a horizontal axis. Like you're supposed to go up vertically, and that's how you exit the car park.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. That would be a cool scene to a movie, like the beginning.
It almost looked like that Back to the Future car, except it was a convertible.
Yeah.
And another experience I had recently where I was thinking I was driving a Tesla, but it wasn't. It was also a convertible, and it had a gauge on the left side of the steering wheel where you shift the number, and it changed the model and make of the car while you're in the car. So it changed the number on the gauge from like 100 to like let's say 200, and it shifted the shape of the car. So instantly you're in a different car, but you're still in the same sort of vehicle template, thought structure, essentially. So just minor modification created like that ripple effect. That was really interesting too.
Shape-shifting cars. It's pretty cool. And every time I hear an experience like yours, I'm always drawn back to that movie. Something is not end. There's a movie where they get thrown through time and space physically, and they end up in a specific area of space where different timelines kind of overlap. And so you'll see dinosaurs walking around the Eiffel Tower. You'll see a giant crab moving around, and then there are reptilians there, there's a UFO there, and an old car there. And it's all mixed and mashed up. And some of these astral planes, you're walking around, you see a hover car. You know, it's like, what's that doing there? You see a giant cube somewhere. It's like, why is there a giant cube somewhere? And it's a building, you know. Or you know, something that really fascinated me was, I think it was either in Seattle. I think it was in Seattle. There was a building that was like this at the base, and it was on top of buildings. And the way that it was able to support itself was the base of the building went in like this, and was way smaller than this part of the building. And so you would have trees around the base and other buildings that were here, you know. So it was like it was made to fit in between all of these other buildings. And I'm looking at it nauseating because I think that thing should fall over. That looks sickly. And then I start thinking, what if in the future buildings just take on this form, just to have a mega structure in a place where technically there is no room, you know, kind of blocks on top of blocks. And I haven't seen that yet in the astral realm specifically like this, only in 3D. But it only goes to, it only makes more sense that we're ready for stuff like that already, because there are buildings like that. It doesn't take much to change the architecture of a building and make it look a little bit more futuristic nowadays.
Channeling from these realms that we go into, imagine sharing these ideas with other artists and designers, and like being able to create the modern architecture with this like futuristic, like for us it's perceived as futuristic, but it's like it's just another design in creation, and it's magnificent and like in harmony with nature. More curvaceous, I think, is the way to go, you know. If you look at most architecture, at least in North America, majority of it is very left brain oriented, and it's very linear, like square, you know. But if we are thinking more right brain, curvaceous, feminine energy, it's all like, it's all curves, like nature, Fibonacci, you know.
It has to be. If you want to build something that's not going to get in the way of nature, but instead
In harmony with nature.
support nature, you need to have a curve. Wind curves, earth shakes, things need to move and be flexible.
And adaptable too.
Yeah, right. Adaptable to the earth, because we got to realize that. Well, I already know this, but you already know this. People who are conscious know this, but people who don't do anything, I think they're just either they're unaware of this or they're neglecting it, and that's the fact that we're sharing the earth, like with the earth. Essentially, it's not ours. We are renting, and it says whether or not we stay or go. And so we either work with
this body mind is like belongs to like the earth, essentially.
right. So harmony is the only way to work. Otherwise, a death occurs. It's like a virus being pushed out the body if it doesn't work, you know. And
Epigenetics, we are our environment. There's no separation. I think great move on your part, moving to like an environment that is more like eco-friendly and eco-therapeutic. It's huge, you know.
very, very therapeutic. I walk to the shop. It's only 10 minutes. It takes me like an hour. Just because it feels so good. And I take even longer walking back. Sometimes I just walk past my house and keep going. It's like, oh, they have it at the other store that's in the complete opposite direction of where I live. I don't mind. It's raining, you know, I got my umbrella. But yeah, and so it's like, it's not even like the earth is trying to eject us out from its surface. You know, it's okay with harmonizing, and it's open. It's always open to organisms and stuff like that. It's just sometimes the organisms can screw up things so much to the point where they can't exist there anymore, even if the earth wants them to. They're just going to have a negative reaction. They're not in harmony anymore. And so it's kind of like if you were vibrating on a very high frequency, you put your hand in a fire, and you're not feeling pain. The fire's going to love it. You know, it's awesome. We're not hurting each other or whatnot. As soon as you think a certain way and your frequency gets denser, it's going to burn. The fire didn't mean to burn you. You know, you did that to yourself. The earth is kind of the same way. And if it reacts to something that we're doing, then it's a reaction, not because it wants to kill us. It's not evil or it hates what we're doing. It's just it's getting in the way.
This reminds me of the within a Farm Walk event, like from my early journey. Tony Robbins does a seminar or he did, where he guides people over like a few days of like how to like, take power of your mind and like apply it and that power within you. And I grew up in this environment, like backstage with a lot of powerful speakers, Tony Robbins being one of them. He'd charge everybody up, get them so charged up, and then he'd take them in front of the CN Tower. They'd have like hot coals on the grass, and then people would go, and some people would walk right across the coals and they wouldn't get burned. And then other people who were still in that fear-based mindset, thinking, I'm going to get burned, I'm going to get burned, ended up getting burned on their feet. The paramedics on standby. But the people that were like actually following through with the new program, and he was literally reprogramming the people, they'd go right through and not get burned at all, like one step at a time across these goals.
Firewalk.
Mind over matter. What is matter? Does it matter?
Right.
All energy.
Mind over matter. Yeah, I remember seeing that's sort of irrelevant. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
So I would like to ask about if you've had any experiences with instant manifestation and intentionally like creating in the astrals. And for example, like I was on a hover car with another soul sister. Her name is Heather. She goes by activation vibration, and we were on some other planet, and we are in a hover car, and then we get to this restaurant, and you have a seat, and then what you think you manifest. So I guess I was thinking of like melon, like fruit, and I ended up instantly manifesting it without having to wait for the waiter to bring me the food. Instantly manifested a melon, and then I was consuming it by thinking that I was eating it. This is in the astral plane. So if you've had any experiences, and I've had similar experiences to that, but I was wondering if you've had any experiences in regards to eating on the astral plane from other planets.
From other planets? No, I've probably only ever eaten in the astral plane 3 times. Cup of tea, so I don't drink milk. So I was like, well, I want to enjoy some tea. So I projected to the ethers on purpose. Clear table. I was in the kitchen. I walked into some dude's house. He wasn't there. He doesn't astral project. But I sat down, and I think I need a cup. I look away. I look back. Cup's there. Cool. Pick up the cup. I'm like, I'm really feeling myself at this point, saying how awesome I am. So I'm looking at this glass, right? It's empty. I'm smiling. I spin it around and I watch it just appear and fill up to the top and just start steaming. And I'm like, yeah, I got this. So I start drinking it. And I'm like, it's good. I do the little pinky thing. And I put it back down. And I don't want it anymore. And it's just gone. And so then I think, okay, I want a chocolate cake. And this person comes into the room. And she thinks she's in the spirit world. I think she's just confused. I say, you want some chocolate cake? And she's like, what? Chocolate cake? She's like, all over the place, like looking into the cabinets. And I say, open that cabinet right there. Take out the chocolate cake. She opens it and takes out this big chocolate cake, the one that's in Matilda, because I always wanted to eat that chocolate cake, you know? It's like this really big, thick thing. It looks really moist. So I open it, I cut her a slice, and I cut me a slice, and I start eating this chocolate cake. I look to my left, and I see a shadow being walking through one of the doors. You know, it's like you can see through the doors because it's glass. And it doesn't bother me. I can read its mind as it's walking past. And it's like, he knows what he's doing. Let's not bother him at all. We'll wait till he's gone and go after that lady. And so I eat the cake, just one slice. And not even the whole thing, just enough to experience it. I'm like, in chocolate heaven. And then I look away, look back, cake's gone. I want some pizza. There wasn't an oven there before. There is now. I open it. There's a cheese pizza. I have a slice. And I think, I don't actually have to ever give up my enjoyment of these foods because I can always experience it in some other dimensional plane of existence. It's not healthy for me here, but, like here. But over there, I can eat till the cows go home. Is that the right expression? Just keep eating, right?
Yeah, bro. Where do cows go on Saturday nights?
Where to say that again?
Where do cows go on Saturday nights?
Wait a sec. No, I got close, but I don't think so.
They go to the movie.
Oh man, nowhere near close. It was one of those ones that sucks because it's like you get this feeling I should have known that, but you could have thought of the answer 1,000 times. You never would have gotten it right, and then you hear that it's like
It's like a TV joke from childhood.
they hear the moon. Huh?
But no dairy. We're not promoting dairy.
We promote cashews.
Yeah, let's keep it vegan.
Soak some of those bad boys.
Blueberry smoothie. Keeping it blue.
Yeah, there's a time and place for putting specific things into the body. And a lot of people need to go through the vegan stage, vegetarian, then vegan stage, or just straight vegan stage, in order to break down a lot of frequencies in their system and get rid of a lot of things so that they can free up their mind a little bit more. There's actually a state of being that you can be put into by having specific nut milks. They call it deluxe, which basically means nut. Have you heard of this?
I'm
On
hearing
specific
about it now.
things. Yeah. So you take the lux out of something, which is actually the pure oil that has the light of whatever it is that you're extracting it out of. And so the oils are key for building the body during a specific stage, which will lead to the ultimate building of the light body, the sustainability of the light body, and so forth. And so you can get to a specific state of consciousness by drinking nut milks, and specific oils out of specific things, cold pressed, raw, unrefined, and breaking the oils down in a certain way.
Amazing. It makes sense because there's certain nutrients and components that are in certain parts of nature that can affect the body, mind in certain ways. So that makes full sense to me. I've met all sorts of beings on my journey, and I think that wherever anyone is at on their journey is right where they need to be. And from my personal experience, it's been about, I think, 2.5 years, maybe 3 years now, that I've been vegan, plant-based, eating as clean as possible now, and just I'm transitioning to raw. And my current regimen is like intermittent fasting, and I usually eat from like maybe 12 p.m. to like 8 p.m. That's like my eating window, or even 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. So I have like an 8-hour eating window. And the other hours, I'm just like fasting or just having water. And I've been starting my day with interstellar blends of herbs. And you can check it out on the Cosmic Blooom portal. We have that available. But these herbs like are blended so well together that it kind of just gives me the fuel for the day. And then majority of what I'm consuming has just been liquid. So I'll have juices, smoothies, teas, and then maybe I'll have like a burger, or which is pretty rare, but I have that here today, and then like raw sweet potato, because I know what nutrients my body needs to assimilate, and it's become very intuitive. So like 80% liquids and 20% solid, and that's really allowing me to like activate the light body and feel more free, so I can bring that astral body out much more efficiently.
Cool.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, it's awesome. Your listeners would have got a whole, what's the word I'm looking for? Layout right there on like percentages, and it will give them a good idea as to how they should interact with their body.
Yeah, I think it's much more intuitive, and sometimes we stop overthinking. We just allow our body to guide us. Like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Like,
Terrain modification.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's not craving based. It's like actually like, what does my body need to heal itself with right now? So asking questions that trigger like actual conscious consumption. realizing like, yo, this body mind is electric, it's electronic. We might as well feed it energy efficient like nutrients that's solar charged. And I think when we have that understanding, it allows us to make better choices. But those who are misinformed are simply exactly that, misinformed, and it's an opportunity to just like re-educate people on, yeah, we can go superhuman, or we can just be humans that are making super choices.
I like the way you put that, because I was about to say that we're already like superhuman, because the human condition is thinking that you're less than what you already are, which is freaking amazing. So people try to grow, but they don't realize that you don't need to grow. You need to start washing yourself up, because you've been cluttered by so many ideas and habits.
We can do an actual Zoom call on this if you're interested with another lovely lady. Her name is Sophia. I met her in Portugal last summer. She's a breatharian. She doesn't even use that term anymore. Yeah, like full light body expansion, thriving in harmony with the environment. And she's, I think, been on this journey for about 2 years now. And she's in her 40s, mid 40s. And having her on a call with you, I think, would really facilitate conscious dialogue for like what she's experiencing. And as soon as I'm in her field, I feel just pure bliss and joy, and that is her food. The frequency of joy and bliss is what keeps her alive.
Interesting. Yeah, that would be fun.
I'd love to introduce you to her. I feel like you both would get along swimmingly.
That'd be great. Yeah. Oh, any like, let's wrap this up because I gotta shoot. Is there anything that you want to talk about further before we close down?
Thank you for your presence. I appreciate you, man. I'm really grateful to just share this conscious dialogue and just share our experiences and have fun. Most importantly, like that's why we're here, to have fun.
Right.
So thank you. I appreciate you. And yeah, maybe next time we can talk about breatharianism and a few other subjects I have here, like natural DMT secretion.
It's big. It's pretty big.
Yeah.
Alrighty then. It's been fun, pal. Would you mind if I take bits and pieces of this conversation and direct subscribers to your site?
For sure, that would be great. I recorded it so I can send it to you as well through WeTransfer, and yeah, feel free to like if you want to like modify it, it's up to you. And if you're cool with it, I'd like to upload the raw version to our Cosmic Blooom channel.
Yeah, go for it, man. That's
Amazing,
awesome.
bro. I
Definitely.
appreciate you so much. Thank you for tuning in.
Appreciate you too. It's been good getting back in touch.
Much gratitude, bro.
Likewise.
See you in the Astrals.
Oh, that'll be fun. Peace.
Closing the portal.